Welcome back to What Do They Know podcast. On today's episode, the guys will recap the top stories from this week and also top stories from the first 3 weeks of the season. The guys will throw out more overreactions, argue over their power rankings, and give you their fantasy studs and duds from this week. But hey, what do they know?
What do they know? Well, we're about to find out. What's going on, everybody? This is the What Do They Know podcast. My name is Nick Hoskins. I'm with my buddy Jeff Garcia, and we're gonna try and get through this week.
Try.
It's been it was not a good football week for the two of us.
No, absolutely not.
And it is what it is. We'll power through.
Yeah, welcome to this baseball edition of What Do They Know?
I don't even have that this year.
No, you do
Normally,
not.
I have the Yankees to help my depression with the Jets, and I don't have that this year. They were officially eliminated today.
Were they really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Obviously,
Officially eliminated today.
Obviously,
So
the D-backs were there in town.
congratulations to the Yankees and the Jets.
All
right.
My man's going through it right now.
Dude, it's been okay. My watch wants to know which sport we're talking about. So
nice.
all right, so we're gonna power through here, and we'll kick it off with Jeff's random thought. This normally will bring me up a little bit. So, what's your random thought this week?
Well, I'm glad I can bring some joy into your life on this somber Sunday. But my random thought comes from see my upstairs door neighbor watering his plants, and it just I mean all my random thoughts kind of like tie in with nostalgia and what I used to do as a kid. So whenever I see like someone gardening or watering their plants, it reminds me of when I would have like a spray nozzle on the hose, and you put it on full blast, and it just kind of makes it look like an anaconda type of thing when you're holding it a little bit back and just let it go all freestyle.
Oh, like when you first turn it on?
Yeah, and then you just have the spray nozzle on full blast with that little clip, and you don't have to hold on to it.
Yep.
So you hold back on the hose, and it kind of like does like a little snake thing. So my random thought was about Steve Irwin this week. So I'm just wondering how many of us grew up with Steve Irwin, and we kind of grew up into adults, and we started doing animal noises, still doing little things like that, channeling into our inner childhood and whatnot. So for me, I enjoy just doing little random things like that. Doing little snake things.
I like making snake noises to scare my sister. Anybody who knows my sister Ashley knows that snakes are her number one phobia in the entire world. And so you could be literally in the house like where there would make zero sense for a snake, and if you make that noise, she's going to freak out and probably cry.
And whenever I think of a snake, I always think of your dad. Shout out your dad for that one video.
Fake snake.
Well,
that too.
The snake. I'm a snake.
Oh gosh.
So shout out James for always making me laugh with that video. But yeah, Steve Irwin, R.I.P. That was always a big thing. The crocodile hunter with me, and
it never really was with me.
No, never really. Like crikey, mate.
Nope.
All that jazz. That's upsetting.
Well, I got to give it to you, Jeff. That's the most random thought so far.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It always goes that way.
All right, so let's kick it off. Let's kick off the week 3 action. A lot to go over. Normally we try and stick to like 2 top stories, but I wrote down like 4 or 5 this week. So
nice.
No fan questions this week, so that's fine. But feel free to submit any for anything that you saw this week or anything that we go over tonight that you want us to elaborate on a little bit more. But
right.
Let's jump into our top stories. I'll let you go first and kind of what you saw this week and what jumped out at you.
Right. I think the first thing that jumps out is that 70 burger that Miami put up on Denver. So, it's been a rough couple of days for Colorado. You got the Buffaloes over there in college getting a little smoked.
They got spanked.
Yep, by Oregon. So that was rough. And then 24-hour turnaround, you got Denver getting absolutely walloped by Miami with that 70 burger. So, I mean, just Miami's offense is just going insane right now.
And we were talking about it as we were getting ready for this show. Like, admittedly, neither of us watched that game today, but we were going through the stat lines for everything, and Jalen Waddle didn't even play.
Right.
They put up 70 points, and Jalen Waddle didn't even play. Like, they're just, I feel like they're literally just scratching the surface of what they can do.
Right.
And I cannot wait to watch them next week against the Bills. I really can't, because I feel like that's going to be such a good game, and that's Yeah.
It's going to be their biggest test, obviously,
Yep.
so far this season, week 4. That Bills defense, obviously, they've clamped it down since. Well, I mean, it's not like they underperformed really during that first week with the Jets, but I guess with the they were just taken aback by the Aaron Rodgers injury. But they've held it down for the past 2 weeks against the Raiders and this week against the Commanders. But yeah, it'll definitely be a test for both sides on on who's legit and what needs to be worked on. If you have any weak points on either side, they're going to find it.
They're going to find it. Yep.
So,
all right.
As for the other one, I got C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud definitely impressed me. He's improving every single week for that Houston Texans team. So he's showing that arguably he should have been the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
To be honest, obviously Bryce Young was out today with an ankle injury, but C.J. Stroud is taking all the steps needed to really be that franchise guy. He's hasn't shown anything that says he's not.
Yeah, and I saw a stat or a little earlier. He's got over 900 passing yards already in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
And as a rookie, I want to say that's the record or close to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's. I mean, they knocked off the Jags today, right? That's one of my top stories as well. I'm really, really surprised at how he's looked so far.
Right.
And I think we kind of discussed at the beginning of the season when we were breaking down the rookie quarterbacks, like we weren't really enthralled in any of them, right? We were kind of excited about Bryce Young, but
all of them had
Anthony Richardson, not so much.
Right.
CJ Stroud, not so much. And I mean, Anthony Richardson and obviously he didn't play today because of his concussion, but him and Stroud have been lights out.
Right. They've been the most impressive.
Yeah, they've been the most impressive for sure. And so, the rookie class might be a little bit better than what everybody thought.
Right. Yeah. I mean, credit to the head coaches there and Steichen over there in Indy and D'Amico Ryans here in Houston. Those guys have really, I guess, cemented themselves as formidable head coaches and getting their teams ready to play week in and week out. They have not been pushovers at all during this entire season, which honestly I didn't think Houston was going to be, but Indy has really surprised me. They're 2-1 now, and
yeah, I agree.
That is a big storyline for me as well.
Yeah, no doubt. That kind of leads perfectly into my first top story, which was just the surprising outcomes of the week.
Right.
The 3 being, the Texans over the Jags, the Colts over the Ravens, and the biggest one arguably is the Cardinals over the Cowboys.
Right.
I don't really think anybody saw that last one coming. So it just shows that that's why they play the NFL. Chris Berman, it's why they play the game. Anything can happen any Sunday.
Right.
Those were 3 really surprising outcomes this week. Specifically for me personally, the Ravens. We talked about it last week. Not having them in my top 5,
right.
and the loss today to the Colts just kind of shows why. I mean, they still only put up 19 points today.
Yeah, their offense.
Their offense has not. I mean, they were down 7 starters. We talk about this every week. It seems like their injury issues, and it just never improves for them.
Right.
But the Ravens kind of, I feel like, solidified me not putting them in my top 5 last week. So those 3 games were the biggest storylines to me.
Mm-hmm.
Next, freaking Brandon Staley. We've talked about him at length. And it's not going to be a story because they ended up winning the game.
Right.
But the dude tried to blow the game again. They were up 28-24. It was 4th and 1 on their own 24-yard line.
Right.
They have the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Not like they're trying to go get points. All you're trying to do is knock out the clock.
Right.
And they went for it and they got stuffed. And the only reason it's not a story is because the Vikings ended up throwing a pick at the goal line.
Right.
And they ended up winning the game. But what is this dude thinking? I just don't understand. Like it seems like he's actively trying to lose games. And again, if they had lost, I wish they would have lost. I really do. But not because I have any gripe against the Chargers,
right?
But just because I want this dude exposed for what he is. I feel like he is a terrible, terrible game manager. I mean, I don't understand what he's doing.
Yeah, they asked him the question after the game, like, what was your thought process on that? And his was, well, you get the first down and you ice the clock. And it was 4th and less than 1. His thing was, yes, they're in field goal range, but we're up 4 points, so they needed the touchdown. So, but at the same time, you got to realize your defense hasn't been playing outstanding during this first 3 weeks, and they've already allowed 24 points.
Pin them back.
Yep, pin them back.
The punt.
Make them drive the entire field in a minute or whatever it was that was remaining. It was just one of those things where you understand the ideology with it, but at the same time, I don't think it's putting your team in the best position to play or to win.
I mean, they were one deflected pass from losing,
right?
Because of that.
Yeah, it's like if it's at around midfield. Yeah, almost an interception.
The Raiders just dropped a pick six, a walk-in pick six.
Yep. But yeah, if it's around midfield, I guess I can kind of see it because it's half the field. Obviously, you can pin them back inside the 10 and whatnot. But midfield, meh. But you're inside your own 25-yard line. What are you
doing?
Yeah, that's just you're shortening the field to a quarter of the field,
and not to mention your starting running back is out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your offense is. I get it. Your offense is putting up points. It's 28 points there. But at the same time, you got to think of the play call. You gave it to, I believe, your fullback there, and they haven't been running the ball at all during that game. So if you're going to put it in someone's hands, you better put it in Justin Herbert's hands and let the guy cook, basically.
Yeah.
But it was just it goes down to play call. It goes down to where you're at, and it's just I think he was very fortunate to not.
We have talked multiple times on this show about how the Chargers lose games in the worst way, and how we always said it comes down to coaching. And today was almost a perfect example of that.
Right,
picture perfect example of him doing exactly what we talk about almost every week on this show. Yep. The dude drives me nuts. If I was a Chargers fan, holy smokes, I would not be okay. I would not.
I mean, the only, I guess, fortunate thing about it is they were playing, I guess, an even
worse defense
and a worse, I guess, cursed team, the Vikings.
Yeah.
The Vikings also are, no offense, or known to lose some heartbreakers over there in Minnesota. So it's just one of those things where, you don't want to. I'm sure he'll have a double take or second thoughts next time that situation comes around. But punt the ball.
I don't know.
Punt the ball.
Yeah, you got to punt, dude. All right. So next, I wrote down injuries. I feel like injuries are not even specifically this week, but like in the NFL in general.
Right.
There have been a lot of big name injuries, and I don't really remember years past this many prominent people getting injured. I mean, just to name a few, obviously we have Aaron Rodgers with his Achilles. Nick Chubb basically snapped his leg in half last week on Monday Night Football.
Right.
Trevon Diggs tore his ACL in practice. Mike Williams from the Chargers, very, very good receiver, went down with a knee injury today. He got carted off. That doesn't look good.
Right.
And then obviously your boy Derek Carr, who sounds like he got some decent news, right? Probably best case scenario. Sprained AC joint, going to be out more than likely a week or two, maybe a couple weeks. But
yeah, I was worried about a collarbone on that one.
Yeah, that was a really, really tough tackle.
Right.
And so I just threw that out there because I feel like there have been, I mean, there's always injuries in the NFL, but I don't remember a time where this many, quote unquote, prominent players or all-stars or Pro Bowlers, whatever you want to say, are just going down left and right.
Right.
And it just really, it hurts the NFL at the end of the day.
And my thing is, even so they take it a step further, a lot of these players are going down during practice. Even going back to Travis Kelce. Hyperextending his knee. But thankfully, it was just the 1 week that he missed.
Yep.
And then Trevon Diggs, obviously, this past week, tearing his ACL. It makes me wonder what exactly is going on during these practices. How hard are they going? What sort of drills are they running during practice? Because to me, every time I'm looking at injury news, I feel like at least half of the time it's during practice. And I don't remember a time where practice injuries were this prominent. So that to carry on with your injuries, it's definitely getting a little out of control. But in terms of practice, it's getting kind of crazy over there.
Yeah, it for sure is. So I just threw that out there. Like I said, I thought it was an interesting topic for through the first 3 weeks.
Right.
And then this last one, I feel like no one's probably going to really talk about this. I just I wrote it down because it was somewhat sneaky news last season, and it just popped up again today. Mac Jones has had a reputation of being a dirty player.
Oh, because he kicked the sauce?
Yeah.
I think.
What the heck,
I
man?
didn't see the video.
I mean, I didn't see the play,
Right.
But I mean, I don't know
heard
why
about
Sauce would lie, right?
Right.
The quarterback sneak at some point late in the game, allegedly,
Mm-hmm.
Mac Jones basically gave him a cup check and like smacked him down there. And like, dude, what are you doing?
Uh-huh.
Like we see all these highlights. It came out again last year. I don't remember what the play was, but like they started showing all these reels on social media of him like tripping guys or
Mhm.
blindsiding guys. And it kind of was a story for a week or two and then went away. And then now this comes up again that
Right.
he's cup checking guys, when they're at the bottom of the pile.
Right.
And so it more irritated me as a Jet fan, to be honest.
Right.
But I think that that's something that, if it was anybody else, they'd get way more attention than he's probably going to get about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to see the play exactly
Yeah.
how it all went down, and like, is it like during a normal football play, or did he go like out of his way to like intentionally go after Sauce on a cup check type of thing? Obviously,
Which I don't know if we're ever gonna see that, just because it was like at the bottom of the pile.
Right.
So-
If it's at the bottom of the pile type of thing, that's rough.
I mean, you hear stories about that, like trying to get a fumble or whatever.
Right,
So
you're just kicking, punching, trying to get a ball out or something. Say you got a recovery or something. You just never know how the bottom of the scrum is going to turn out. Whether he's just trying to get up or something, I'd have to see. But yeah, I think it can be a big story because of Mac Jones's previous incidents.
Yeah. His track record. Yeah.
with all this dirty play and going out of your way to try to injure people or at least leave some sort of impression
Yeah.
that you're a dirty player. But I'd have to see the play in order to get develop an opinion on it, type of thing.
Okay, so those are our storylines from around the week, or around the league, I should say, for week 3. We're going to go over to our prisoner of the moment segment. So we're going to just throw out some overreactions, or maybe they're not overreactions, depending on. So
Right.
I'll let you throw yours out, and then I'll decide if I think it's a overreaction or not.
Right. So my number one thing is the Dolphins will have the greatest offense of all time.
Dude, I almost wrote that exact same thing.
Really?
I almost wrote that exact same thing. No, I don't think that's an overreaction at
Right.
all. So I was going between, before you told me you were going to write about the Dolphins, I was going between the best offense ever or going 17-0.
Mm.
Because I mean, I could not be more high on the Dolphins right now. And obviously I put them at number 1 in my power rankings last week.
Right.
And they're dang sure not going anywhere this week.
Right.
And so, no, I don't think that's an overreaction at all. I mean, we already talked about they were playing a guy down today. I mean, they're having guys run for over 200 yards that I've never even heard of today. I couldn't even tell you the guy's name. He ran for over 200 yards.
A chainer.
Yeah, what are we doing, man? Like they are going to have a historic, again, health pending, right?
Mhm.
That's always the disclaimer you have to throw out there, is if everybody stays healthy.
Right.
But I mean, if they keep going at the rate that they're going, I mean, good Lord,
Yep.
they are going to get guys paid, and they are going to be setting records.
Yep. I mean,
I do not think that's an overreaction at all.
If you had a Dolphins player in your fantasy lineup outside of
probably
Jalen
won
Waddle,
this week.
outside of Jalen Waddle,
Yeah.
congratulations, you did well for
Yeah.
yourself.
Thank you to the guy who had Tua on his bench against me,
Really,
by the way. Yeah, thank you very much.
thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, obviously, when we think about great offensive, you think of the Rams, 1999 Great Show on Turf. 2013 Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning setting the all-time record for passing yards over there in Denver. You just think about Randy Moss with the Vikings and the Patriots both. I mean, you have Tyreek Hill there, so you have Jalen Waddle, you have all these weapons that I guess. Obviously, right now you don't want to say Tyreek Hill matches up with Randy Moss, but historically, looking down 10 years from now, we might be looking at Hill as that sort of player and that sort of game changer. He's definitely looking like a Hall of Fame solidifying spot type of thing, where it's not even a question; it's just about when he's going to be inducted type of thing. So right now, I feel very high on the Dolphins' offense. The defense. Obviously, it's hard to live up to that offense as a defense. You're going to be on the field a lot because they're scoring points all the time. They're going to be throwing the ball against you. So just allowing 20 points to the Denver Broncos and creating a 50-point spread, that's pretty incredible on that front.
I mean, think about the numbers from just today.
Oh,
They
yeah.
scored 10 touchdowns,
Mhm.
and they had over 700 yards of offense.
Yep.
in one game, in 4 quarters of football. That's crazy.
That's
like
unheard of. In
it's crazy,
Yep.
man. Like
I understand like this is an age where offense takes precedence, but it's been a while since it's been a pass first league, and to still have this sort of success, even though you got defensive coordinators adjusting to pass happy offenses, it really is unprecedented. We're starting to see sort of defensives kind of like make a comeback. Because they're starting to adjust to the pass happy offense. But Mike McDaniels, he's making full use of every single weapon that is to his disposal over there.
yeah. And I mean, side note about the Dolphins and the Jets. Don't even get me started. But literally, this almost to the minute that the Jets lost today, the game went final.
Mm-hmm.
Mike White threw like a 70-yard bomb in that game.
Yeah.
And it's just like I saw on Twitter on the timeline, it was like, this is exactly what we do not need to see right now. And it's just like such a punch in the gut.
Yeah. I know how you are on with Mike White, even though
He's a starter in the NFL.
Yep. Yep.
It's not even a hot take.
That's not even a hot take, not an overreaction. All right. So,
I love that. That's not an overreaction even a little bit.
right.
And I think that's something, you know what? That's something that we should actively start tracking.
What?
Like on this show. We should start we need to find historically the best offense, document what their numbers are,
Mm-hmm.
and where the Dolphins are and how, like, if they're on track. I'm going to start doing that.
Okay.
Remind me.
Remind you. I will, very much so. Or the Dolphins will remind you, actually, probably. So, but yeah, they got a tough matchup with the Bills next week. So we'll definitely find out what they're made of offensively next week.
Yep.
As for my second overreaction, I'm got Trevon Diggs' ACL tear has ended the Cowboys Super Bowl hopes. So,
Whew, that's a good one. That's a really good one, especially after today.
Yeah,
that's
especially after today.
That's like the perfect prisoner of the moment question.
absolutely.
I'm gonna say that's an overreaction,
Okay.
and I'm gonna say that because I'm starting to think that the Cardinals are maybe a little bit better than we thought.
Right.
And I mean, it was the perfect trap game.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they crushed the Jets. They're 2-0. They are the cream of the crop in the NFL. Everybody's talking about them. They're
Right.
playing the lowly Cardinals. The spread was like freaking 14 points,
Yep.
and they have a big one against New England next week.
Yeah.
It's a stereotypical trap game, and so I'm gonna say for right now
Mhm.
that's an overreaction.
Okay.
Next week, who knows? We'll
Right.
see. If they lose to the Patriots, I don't think they have any business losing to the Patriots. Then we'll be having that conversation.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I mean that Trevon Diggs is like the heart and soul, basically, right next to Michael Parsons over there. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
he's always there vocally, at least, talking that talk, but he can walk that walk type of thing. So losing your best cornerback is definitely rough. A little pick over here with Pittsburgh, but yeah, the Cardinals. I mean, they hung tough with the Giants last week. Honestly, they should have won that game, but they let that lead go. And then they also lost by a point over there with the Commanders week 1. So they're definitely a lot feistier of a team than what we gave them credit for coming into the season.
This is a beautiful transition. Let me tell you why. My first question to you:
Uh-huh.
the Cardinals are the best 1 and 2 team in the NFL.
Oh, the best 1 and 2 team. Do we have a list of what the 1 and 2 teams are right now?
I should have that, but I do not. let me,
You pummeled the bag.
let me find it.
That's
All right.
honestly, yeah.
The Patriots,
Okay.
the Jets,
Okay, they're better than the Jets.
the Jaguars, the Titans, the Chargers,
Okay. Oh,
the Giants, and that's it. Everybody else is either 2-0 or 3-0 or 0-2.
what about Houston?
Houston is where's Houston? They are 1 and 2. Yeah. So okay. So
Okay.
Houston, Jacksonville, Tennessee, all 1 and 2 in the AFC South.
Yeah, I'd still say the Chargers. I want to
Yeah.
say the Chargers.
I do too. I do too.
Even if they have debacles there and with their coaching, talent wise, they're just too good. I think the players are good enough to win in spite of their coaching, in spite of coaching decisions that Staley did today.
I will say I think Mike Williams, what happens with him could be
A
big loss.
right.
He's that deep threat guy.
Yeah.
Had a big one today, 50-yard or 49-yard touchdown.
Yeah, they thankfully for the Chargers, at least they have a wide receiver they drafted this year. I think Quentin Johnson, I want to say his name is, to back him up, I guess, and replace him. But obviously, Mike Williams is pretty established in this league, and he definitely has a repertoire with Herbert. So it's definitely going to be a huge loss. And yeah, that connection between Johnson and Herbert's going to have to develop real fast if Mike Williams is out for a period of time. But yeah, that's a good one. I think it's a little bit of overreaction right now because don't get me wrong, they have been very competitive. They've been in every single game.
They're feisty.
Oh yeah,
They're a feisty team. Like they looked pretty good against the Cowboys today.
Yep, absolutely. Them, Houston, and Indy, the ones with the upsets today, they've all looked really, really decent and really, I guess, beyond competitive. Actually, they've been looking dominant at times. Actually, so I'll say it's an overreaction for now, but they're definitely up there.
Okay. Now, Jeff, this next one I need you to tell me is not an overreaction.
Okay. Spoiler alert.
This time next week,
okay,
when we are sitting here,
okay,
on Sunday Night Football,
okay,
the Jets and the Chiefs, Kirk Cousins will be behind center for the New York Jets.
What? Okay. I'm having conflicting thoughts right now.
Why is that?
Because you told me not to say it's not an overreaction. And I want to feel like it's an overreaction. Well, I mean, Minnesota's 0-3 now. They are.
It makes too much sense, right? It just makes too much sense for especially the Jets.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if the Vikings would go for that, though. That's the thing.
I know.
It's, like, obviously in the NFC North, you got the Lions, you got the Packers, who are both 2-1, and then you got the Bears, who are just, I don't know,
they're
dumpster.
They're a dumpster fire. They're atrocious.
Yeah, they're just bad. I think that's something
we should talk about that.
Yeah, I personally overestimated the Bears in a very big way. I thought they were going to be exciting.
You did.
Well, I thought they were going to be exciting.
You did.
I thought they were still going to finish up third in their division, but I thought they were at least going to be exciting. But like last year, they were bad, but they were at least exciting, especially offensively. But now they're just it's just a clunk. It's just a clunk fest over there. They
couldn't have looked worse against the Chiefs today. Nope. And, I mean, you kind of knew that was going to happen, right? I mean, based off everything that happened during the week with Justin Fields essentially blaming and then trying to walk back his blame of coaching.
Right.
There was a defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, who FBI apparently raided his house.
Oh, yeah.
And he resigned in the middle of the week.
Right.
So who knows what the heck's going on there.
At this point, it's just every man for himself.
Yeah, I mean, you knew it was going to happen today. I mean, the Bears, they're a huge disappointment. But, yeah, man, I just think it makes too much sense, and so therefore it probably won't happen. I don't think it's let me say this. I don't think it's an overreaction that it should happen. I don't think it's an overreaction at all.
Yeah.
Whether it will,
right.
Not even next week, right? Even before the trade deadline, who knows? Just because Robert Saleh still said after the game today, when asked about Zach Wilson, basically said, "Yeah, we're fine with him." I don't know what fine means.
Yeah.
But
it's such a bad draw of the cards for Zach Wilson because ideally you would have had to back up Rodgers for at least a year, and you'd at least get that knowledge and experience under your belt type of thing. But now it's just you're thrust into the starting role again, and it's a role that he's just not ready for. Not. It's
too quick for him.
Yeah,
it's too quick. He just looks now. We got to bail him out here a little bit. The Jets' offensive line is horrible.
Yeah.
They looked really, really bad 2 weeks in a row, and we all talked about it at the beginning of the season. But it was one of those things that we kind of shrugged off because of Aaron Rodgers. Oh, he'll figure it out. He'll make it work.
Right.
Well, now we don't have that,
exactly.
And it's Zach Wilson who just looks like he doesn't know what decision to make and just always makes the wrong one.
Right. He doesn't have that guiding, I guess, that guiding light that was Rodgers beforehand. Obviously, Rodgers is. I don't know if he's traveling with the team or whatnot. But,
not yet.
Right.
Not yet. He's FaceTiming into meetings apparently, and he's got to do some more rehab, and then he's trying to get back to Jersey to be on the sidelines and meetings, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but
that's just not the same for Zach Wilson. No. Obviously, when we were watching Hard Knocks, you'd always see the light in Zach Wilson's eye whenever he would talk or interact with Rodgers in any way. Now he doesn't have that. It's just now he's thrust back into the New York media that's going to just eat him alive and obviously everyone's going to say move on from Zach Wilson, and at this point, you kind of have to. Yeah, I feel like you kind of have to find at least some sort of answer somewhere else.
They are going to,
even if it's for Zach Wilson's sake.
So everybody, as far as I've seen, said all the right things after the game today.
Right.
Garrett Wilson said, "Oh, I still got confidence in him. He's my guy. Whatever. Right. We got to do better as an offensive whole. All that same stuff." Zach Wilson actually took accountability.
Right.
Unlike the Patriots game last year, which was eerily similar. That whole game, horrible weather. It was a kick fest back and forth. And that was, of course, where Zach was asked if he thought he let the team down, and he said no.
Right.
And then he ended up getting benched shortly thereafter. It was the same sort of game, and today he said it all falls on me. I got to be better, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So he said all the right stuff. But at some point, and I feel like that point is quickly approaching, whether it's Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, or just the defense who gets exhausted, they're going to lose that locker room.
Right.
Because they have the talent. They're just a quarterback away. I saw a poll today, and I think it was a Jets Nation thing, so it's obviously skewed. But it said, the question was, if the Jets had just an average quarterback, would they have won that game? And I think the answer is yes.
Right.
Like, again, it's the same thing we talked about last year. The stat last year was if the Jets had scored the league average in points, which was 21, they would have been 12-5. That's just league average in points. Not blowing people out.
Right.
Just league average. Just be average. And they can't find a guy to just be average. It's the most frustrating thing as a Jets fan. And I mean, Kirk Cousins is better than average in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's on an expiring contract, so he'll be gone after this year. He's a rental. So you don't have to worry about him if Rodgers does come back. You don't have to worry about them fighting Rodgers is the guy again.
Right.
Kirk will go sign another $100 million contract somewhere.
Probably.
And it'll be fine. But dude, you can't just give up on this season, and I feel like that's what they're doing if they don't go out and get somebody.
Yeah, going back to your losing the locker room thing, I think you even saw some sort of, hints of it with Michael Carter getting into it with his running back coach. He started yelling. Running back coach kind of walked away, and I don't know who it was that got in between them. I think it was Breece Hall. But someone got in between them, and it was like...
I actually didn't even see that.
You haven't seen it?
No, I didn't see
Michael
that.
Carter on the sideline.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yep. It's just one of the... I'm not sure what they were fighting about. I'm not sure what play led up to that. It's just going to be one of those things where, we're going to have another season of where we have an exceptional defense, go by the wayside and just waste another year, and then all of a sudden you got to pay those guys in defense. That's going to set you back in terms of your offense, because obviously your offense isn't producing in a way, and those guys aren't going to get deals that they want. They're going to look elsewhere, and they're going to voice frustrations like Michael Carter did. So I think they should definitely look into it in terms of what the Vikings are looking for compensation. I don't know. I'd be looking elsewhere for a quarterback right now.
Shoot, bring in Carson Wentz off the street.
Yeah,
I'm to the point where anybody is better than him.
Right.
I'm sorry, I really.
Like we were talking with Staley, the coaching staff's job is to put your team in the best position to win. Right now, putting Zach Wilson out there is not doing that. He's not doing that.
You're stroking his ego, and that's about it.
Right. So it's. The GM and Saleh have some decisions to make, whether it's going to roll out with Zach Wilson again, or they're going to bring somebody in, and at least some guys in for tryouts and see where they're at.
Here's my prediction.
Okay.
Zach Wilson will be the starter next week.
Okay.
They will get slaughtered by the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, and it's a national televised game.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when something happens.
Yeah.
But by then, they're 1-3. Is it too late?
Right. If you bring in a quarterback,
because right now you're still in the thick of it. Your season is not lost. You bring in a guy who, again, is just flipping average. Who knows what could happen? But I think he plays this week. It sounds like they're not going to do anything this week.
Right.
And then if they get just flat out exposed, even more than they already are on Sunday Night Football, nationally televised game, then hopefully something happens.
Right. Yep.
All right, so those were our overreactions this week. Actually, sound like some of them weren't overreactions, so that was good this week.
Right.
We'll get into our power rankings. Again, we'll list our teams 1 through 5.
Okay.
And figure out what if anything changed from last week.
Right.
So I'll let you go first.
So number one, I had a debate over this, obviously, with Dolphins
Oh
putting
my
up
gosh,
70.
it's not even a debate. Are you kidding me right now?
I'm putting the 49ers still up top.
You're just wrong.
I'm just wrong.
You're just wrong.
Honestly, for me, being number one means you're balanced on both offensive and defense. To me, the 49ers are exactly that. They played Thursday night. They scored 30 on the Giants, and they held the Giants to 12 points. To me, they're a machine that just carries on doing what they needed to do, and they have all the pieces on both ends of the field. Number two, I got the Dolphins. That's where I have them now. Obviously, you put up a 70, you're making a big statement there. So, but obviously, I need to see what they do next week with Buffalo. If you beat Buffalo, then yes, you're definitely probably going to take that top spot in the power rankings. But it's just going to be one of those things. What can you do against a high octane type of offense, and what are you going to do against a very good defense? Obviously, Denver's not the cream of the crop when it comes to competition.
They're allegedly supposed to have a good defense.
Right. Yeah, Vance Joseph and that entire defense is just falling apart since last year. Last year they were at least competent. This year they're just not. I don't know what's going on with Sean Payton and Vance Joseph. They're just not seeing eye to eye. I know this happened kind of with Sean Payton back in New Orleans with who's the defensive coordinator for Kansas City right now? Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
They had like the worst defense of all time back in like 2014 or something, and obviously Steve goes to Kansas City, and all of a sudden he's pounding out Super Bowl caliber defenses. So I'm not sure what's going on there. If it's a Sean Payton thing, but yeah, as for right now, I wouldn't put too much stock into putting 70 on Denver right now.
Listen to what you just said.
Listen
to what you just
Denver's
said.
A dumpster
I wouldn't
fire.
put too much stock into putting 70. I don't care if it's any team. You
Right.
put up 70, dude. Come on.
I don't know. Denver's just being a dumpster fire right now. They're just all over the place. They're like Chicago right now.
They are.
They are not in a good place right now. To me, they probably gave up halfway through that game against Miami.
Also, side note, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this week because they were talking on the radio about the Chargers, and they were talking about the Broncos, and
Right.
blah blah blah. And the story, or the way that it was like kind of framed in the media, was that the Broncos was the job that Sean Payton wanted. Like, right, he had the pick of any of the jobs,
Right.
and that's what he wanted. He even wanted that over the Charger job.
Yeah.
And it came out this week. I can't remember who it was that was reporting it, but basically they said that the only reason that Staley is still the coach is because ownership is so cheap, and they didn't want to fire him and have to pay all the money. And then to him, on
Staley?
to Staley on his busted contract,
Uh-huh.
and then to Sean Payton on top of that.
Right.
Which,
That's raw.
you know what? If that's true, you deserve to lose.
Right.
Like, it's easy for me to say, not spending millions and millions and millions of dollars,
Right.
but like,
When you have it at your disposal,
Yeah.
type of thing.
you're just being cheap.
Yeah.
You're just being cheap. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, you're just betraying your fans at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, that would have been a good, interesting connection.
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine?
Sean Payton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I got Dolphins at 2. I got the Eagles at 3. They play tomorrow, so we'll see how they fare. Chiefs at 4. It looks like they got their mojo back with Kelsey coming back 2 weeks removed from that hyperextended knee. Taylor Swift was in the house.
Yeah.
So I thought he was going to blow up for like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
but
so did I. That should have been a top story in its own. They're officially a thing.
They're officially a thing. Yeah, the TNT connection over there, Travis.
Yeah.
And Taylor. But yeah, way to go, Travis, I guess. But
Sure.
and then at number 5, I got Buffalo. I got the Bills. So it'll be an interesting matchup. Very worthwhile
Who
matchup.
fell out of your 5?
Ravens, they lost. And then who else?
Cowboys.
Cowboys, they lost. Yep.
Yeah, so I kicked the Cowboys out of my top 5 as well. I have literally the exact same thing, except I have the Dolphins first and the 49ers second. And
Okay.
then Eagles, Chiefs, Bills.
Oh, nice.
So very, very similar. I'm kind of shocked that you still put the Niners first. I'm not going to lie. To me, it's like a no-brainer that the Dolphins are the best team. Like, I get balance, but when you're putting up 70, you don't need balance. Like, I know eventually they're gonna face a team that's gonna keep them.
Yeah, you're not gonna put up 70 every.
No, I
week.
get that.
And there's gonna be games where your defense has to show up, type of thing. And for me, San Francisco has proven that even if their offense struggles, their defense is going to be there to pick them up.
Yep.
I just haven't seen that from Miami yet.
Fair enough. All right. Well, you're wrong, but all right. So now we're gonna do our studs and duds fantasy football recap. Just some guys that blew up and some guys that didn't show up.
Right.
So go ahead.
I think we can both agree on the Dolphins' offense. Just
I mean,
yeah.
Who's the guy that had 200? He had 51 fantasy points today. I've never heard of him.
Rookie. I think he's a rookie.
Rookie running back. He had over 200 yards. I want to say he had 4 touchdowns.
Him and Mostert both had 4 touchdowns apiece.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Like,
just look in your face.
That's crazy to me.
I think they both had 2 rushing touchdowns and 2 receiving touchdowns, and Tyreek Hill had the other one.
That's just insane.
So it's if you had the running backs or Tyreek Hill or Tua,
I mean, shoot, they don't need to trade for Jonathan Taylor. The heck, man.
that would have been a little overpowering, but I think the whole thing was Jeff Wilson Jr. being there, and you kind of had the taste of what they were last year with Mostert and Wilson Jr. being there most of the year. But it changed, just blew up this week, and I guess he's going to be part of that rotation. But I think it goes down to just their offensive scheme. Yep. They're just too fast everywhere.
Yep.
But yeah, in terms of quarterback out or players outside of Miami in general, at quarterback I got Herbert. I think that Chargers offense is just. I'm not sure how much they're going to run the ball anymore. But obviously that is a detriment more to Kelly than it is to Eckler, because Eckler is definitely a lot more of a receiving back. Kelly is more of that running back.
He's been such a dud.
He's been a disappointment. He's spoiler alert for my dud section.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Joshua Kelly. I mean, I rolled with him 2 weeks with.
So did I.
With Keller.
So did I.
Eckler, not being in the starting rotation, being out, being injured, but. Yeah, that offense is going to go through Herbert for the foreseeable future. In terms of running back, I got Kenneth Walker. They're in Seattle.
Yeah, great day.
Great day. 2 touchdowns, 90-something plus yards. That's going to be Seattle's, game plan, going forward. And it should be. I spoke about it before during our divisional breakdowns that they don't need Geno Smith to be the Geno Smith of last year. They don't need him to be this passing quarterback that he's just not known for.
Right.
He just be a game manager and give it to Kenneth Walker.
I will say Seattle looked more back to normal today.
Right.
They played the Panthers. Obviously, Bryce Young didn't even play.
Right.
But I watched a good majority of that game, and I felt like they had a really, really good rhythm on offense.
Yeah.
So I think that they're excuse me, I think they're starting to get back into form.
Yeah, going back to old reliable. Go back with your running game. Wide receiver Keenan Allen. Obviously, that dude's going to be Herbert's number 1 target.
More wrong about him. Could have been more wrong about him.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, you can always have skepticism in terms of his health because he's never healthy for a full season.
Yeah.
But my goodness, when he plays, he's the number 1 target for Herbert. And like we said, Herbert and that offense is going to go through Herbert every single time. And if Allen gets 18 catches every week, then it's going to go through him as well. Especially even more so if Mike Williams is going to miss some time. Another one, I got Tank Dell over there in Houston.
Who?
Tank Dell. Tank Dell over in Houston. He came out of nowhere.
Never even heard of him.
Yep.
Never heard of him in my life.
Wish I wrote down how many fantasy points he had, but he had a big game today over in Houston. It was Nico Collins that was carrying that wide receiver 1 load over there during the first 2 weeks, but Tank Dell kind of stepped up. I'm believing he's a rookie because I've never heard of him either prior. But him and Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen had a day with Andy Dalton throwing him the ball. No knock on Bryce Young, but Andy Dalton's a little bit more of that savvy veteran that knows your number 1 and is going to throw it to your number 1 and your number 2. Or I think DJ Chark had a respectable day as well.
Yep.
So
He had a long touchdown, I think.
Yep. And then tight end, Sam Laporta was my number 1 tight end. He's starting to get really infused into that Detroit Lions offense. And that offense is really pass reliant. It's very pass heavy. So if you have Sam Laporta, start starting him with confidence on a weekend basis. And if he's still on waivers or free agency,
pick him up.
Pick him up. And then defense, I got the Bills. They had
They really exposed Washington today.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people were taking the line of the Bills being favored by 6.5.
Yeah.
Thinking that the Commanders were gonna beat
that
line, if not, win the game outright. Excuse me.
Yeah, you got the Commanders kind of like showing a little bit of promise during the first 2 weeks, and then you got
They were a fake 2-0.
Right.
They were a fake 2-0.
Right. I agree with that. And then the Bills, obviously, they had that week 1 heartbreaker with
clunker.
Yeah, with the Jets, but they've turned it around real fast.
At least the Jets gave us week 1.
yeah. You can always look back on that.
If nothing else, man, like I'll go watch that video of me jumping up and down like a fool after that punt return, and I'll just smile, and that'll be my season.
Way to go.
Anyways.
But yeah, Bills 4 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, 1 TD, 9 sacks. 9 sacks.
I was fortunate enough to have them in one league.
The Bills defense.
The Bills in one of my money leagues.
So did I.
Thank you, Bills.
Thank you, Bills. But yep, those are my studs for that.
Did you do duds already?
I've not done duds.
All right, go ahead. All right, I do my studs.
Yeah.
All right. So I had Lamar Jackson, quarterback, 28.18 points, 2 rushing touchdowns. He started to look more into form. I still won't say he's there,
right?
Because at the end of the day, they still only scored 19 points,
right?
So he basically was the whole offense.
Yeah, he rushed in for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
so
2 rushing touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, 22.9 points, 12 straight games with a touchdown.
Right.
So if you have him. Or I saw something crazy, like if you're into bets,
betting,
but if you had rolled with him every single week to do that anytime touchdown score, you'd have won like thousands of dollars at this point.
I think it was like 75K or something.
Yeah, it is a big amount.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know of anybody that would be brave enough to do that. But if you did, good for you. I actually didn't realize that you wrote Adam Thielen, because I wrote Adam Thielen as well. 31.5 points. Definitely looked like he had a connection to Andy Dalton today. He looked way better today than he did in the 2 games with Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's obviously just Bryce Young being a rookie and Andy Dalton be a little bit more comfortable.
Right.
So, I mean, that's something to watch. If, depending on how long the ankle injury lasts for Bryce Young, if Andy Dalton continues to start, Thielen could be a flex play there for sure. And then Lions defense, 16 points. They held Atlanta to, I think, 2 field goals. So they played great. So those are, I didn't do tight end. You didn't do tight end? No, that's all right. I didn't do tight end. So that's my, those are my studs for this week.
Yeah. Going back to the Lions defense, I mean, obviously if you're Atlanta, you would have came in with the game plan of passing the ball, but they just refused to do so. So
they're a running team, man. I feel like they're going to go to their grave running the ball, and whatever happens.
Yeah. Whatever happens.
Yeah.
Even if it goes against them, because I don't know what sort of game plan you can do, because Lions are going to put up some points, so you're going to have to throw the ball at least. But kudos to the Lions defense for stopping the run there.
Yep.
For duds, so I got Dak. Obviously, you go in with the favorable matchup with the Cardinals, but obviously they had the injury on the defensive side with Diggs, but so you would think that wouldn't affect you offensively, but so I mean he just put up a goose egg type of thing, type of performance today. Running back Joshua Kelly, I hate mentioning
super disappointing.
Yep, I think it's. I'm not sure if we should drop him, but I think it's getting to that point where even if Eckler's out, you can't rely on him.
No.
So, and then in terms of wide receiver, Drake London,
again.
I
think I mean we kind of already talked about it last week, but like and we talked about it just now. But the Falcons just don't throw the ball. They don't let Desmond Ridder decide if they're going to be successful or not.
Right.
They're going to live or die by the run game.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's more of a confidence issue with Desmond Ridder or if it's just.
I feel like they think very, very, very highly of their run game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you spend the first round pick on Bijan and you got Algier there.
Yeah.
You have talent there. It's just you're going to have to throw the ball when you sometimes. Come on, guys. And then tight end, I got 2 here. I got Darren Waller. I think he's kind of been.
He's been a dud overall.
Right. Yeah. Underperforming there with the Giants. I thought Daniel Jones would be looking for that tight end, but especially with the wide receivers not being, I guess, top-notch wide receivers or well-known wide receivers, I think that whole Giants office is just lost without Barkley, really. I think that's that's an offense designed to revolve around your run game as well. So Daniel Jones, I'm not sure if I want to say it wasn't money well spent giving him that offseason.
Yeah.
But
$40 million a year.
Yeah, but it's looking that way.
Yeah.
It's looking that way. I mean, you need him to carry your team, especially if Barkley's not there. And then my second tight end was Gerald Everett, which I think with the Chargers offense, you would have thought being pass happy,
He'd
that
get
tight
at least
end,
a little piece of that.
right?
Yeah.
Gerald, but he lost 2 touchdowns to the other tight end. Can't remember his name, to be honest. So sorry for that number 2 tight end over there of LA.
Not number
but
2 anymore.
yeah, so apparently not. Joe Everett just hasn't shown out. He hasn't taken command of that number 1 tight end role. And then defense, I got the Cowboys. Just again, you have an offense. I wouldn't say that's reeling, but it's just not. Doesn't have the pieces really to really overpower many teams over here in the NFL. But they just allowed the Cardinals to do what they wanted when they wanted, type of thing.
Yep.
But yep.
All right. So for my duds, we kind of already talked about it. Justin Fields, just a big dud. I don't know.
I'm so disappointed in Justin Fields.
I couldn't be more surprised, honestly. Like,
Right.
I didn't think that they were going to be world beaters by any means.
No.
But I at least expected him to take another step, especially with DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Moore, I think, finally scored his first touchdown today.
Yep.
But Fields that was garbage time. That was like fourth quarter where it was like 40-0 or whatever it was. So it didn't, that doesn't count for anything.
Right.
Fields just doesn't look himself.
He doesn't look comfortable at all.
I mean, he spoke about it, right? He talked about it during the week, saying that he's getting too much information sent to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's thinking too much instead of just reacting, playing, using his athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
He claimed that he was going to do that this week, but I kind of feel like he really didn't have the opportunity to be athletic and do those off-scheduled plays because they were down right away. Like it was 24-0 before you could even blink an eye.
Right.
And so I really feel like he didn't even stand a chance today.
No.
But you would think that a game like that, we talked about it last week, when you're down big, you're going to be throwing. You think he would put up some decent fantasy numbers, and I think he had right around 10 points this week.
Yeah, when you're expected to throw the ball, you expect big time numbers from your quarterback, but unfortunately, he just hasn't shown it with the arm yet. And when you're down big, it limits, I guess, how much you can do with your legs, especially if you're a running quarterback. Like you said, it was 24-0, really, really fast. So I'm assuming he was trying to throw the ball, trying to force the issue, and it just made things worse instead of trying to get Chicago back into the
they
game.
had 2 drives back to back where it was in the second quarter. I mean, the final 2 minutes of the second quarter lasted forever because Kansas City scored. They get the ball. I think it was the first or second play of the drive. They fumble. Kansas City goes out and scores. First or second play of the next drive, it's a tipped interception.
Right.
And so it's like, dude, like you don't stand a chance when you're 2 drives in a row. You have 1 play and you turn the ball over. You don't stand a chance, especially against Kansas City.
Right.
But having said all that, you'd again in garbage time, you'd think he would have put up some numbers, and he just did not. So.
Right.
Big dud there. Derrick Henry for running backs. He had 2.1 points today.
Ooh.
Who the heck did they play?
Tennessee? They played Cleveland.
They played Cleveland. So we talked about Cleveland's defense, right? You were high on them at the beginning of the season.
Jim Schwartz.
And so I think that could be more about Cleveland's defense than Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it could have just been a bad matchup.
Yeah.
Yep.
Again, continuing with Tennessee, DeAndre Hopkins. He only had 7.8 points. So he really didn't have an impact in the game at all. I'm still waiting for him to have an impact at all on Tennessee. I really don't think that he will.
I feel like Tennessee is a place where the wide receivers go to die.
And it's so frustrating for me, and it's easy for me to say because it's not my money. But when guys with such great talent, they just go for the bag,
right?
Like they don't go to win. Like he could have gone so many other places and actually had an impact,
right?
Where good for you, man. Like you got paid, you got your money, but you're gonna disappear this season. Nobody's gonna talk about you. And who knows? I think he was a 1-year deal, so who knows what happens next year?
Right, it's going to be a prove it deal.
Yeah, yep. And so that's always disappointing to me when guys could go and be successful and kind of help their legacy, and they just chase a few extra bucks.
Right.
But that's a side note. And then Jacksonville defense -4 points against Houston. So if you had them and you started them,
right?
Congratulations. That could have possibly lost you your matchup.
Way to go, guys!
Good for you.
Yeah.
-4 points for Jacksonville. Again, supposed to have a good defense, and they is that more, that's always the question, right? Is it more about the defense or is it more about the offense that they played? And when you consider the fact that they kind of stymied Kansas City last week, who knows? Maybe that's more about CJ Stroud, who you already talked about, than it is just Jacksonville having a bad defense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jacksonville has been kind of a disappointment so far this year.
Big disappointment.
Yeah.
Disappointment.
Yeah. I thought their offense was going to be rolling high, just like the Lions. You got weapons there. And defensively, some questions there. I wouldn't have put too much stock on Jacksonville defense going in. I was high on their offense, but yeah, overall that division is very wide open now with them being at 1-2. Obviously, Indy is leading that division at 2-1.
Yeah, who would have thunk that?
Yeah, I don't know how for real they are. Well, obviously they're playing hard for Steichen, so that's good for them. Houston's 1-2, but they're a tough 1-2. And then you got Tennessee. I mean, offensively they have their issues, but defensively they're always tough to score against. So that division is going to be ugly, in my opinion. That's going to be a 9-10 win team that's going to come out of that way. Yep, that's going to come out of that division.
All right, so those were our studs and duds. So we'll wrap up the episode by doing our picks for next week. Just to give a quick update on where we're at. So last week, I was 1-1. So who did I pick last week? I had my lock was the Dolphins over the Broncos. Thank you for that one. Thank you, Miami. And my upset was kind of a toss-up. It was a 1-point spread. I picked the Vikings over the Chargers, which almost ended up panning out. Would have been a nice 2-0 week for me.
You want to thank Staley on that one.
Obviously, I went 1-1. Jeff, unfortunately, was 0-2 last week after 2 undefeated weeks.
Right. That's
you had Dallas over Arizona as your lock, and then you had the Saints over the Packers as your upset.
Yeah, that was
Packers
rough.
were a 2.5 point favorite.
Yeah, that was rough. That was upsetting.
So as of right now, I am sitting at 3-3, pretty consistent, 1-1 every week, and you're 4-2.
Way to gain a game.
Now I will point out something just real quick.
Okay.
So Jeff and I, we do these 2 picks for the show, but we also do ESPN picks every single week.
Right.
Let me just give you guys just to shed some light, because I don't want you guys thinking that he's like a genius and I'm over here just doing God knows what. Because
no.
As of right now,
yeah, you're leading.
As of right now, I'm in the 95th percentile. Let's
Are
see.
You really?
I am. Yeah.
Nice.
29-16.
Nice.
So far with my picks.
I probably got a losing record in that thing.
Jeff, actually, you did better this week. You're 25-19.
Oh, look at that.
So I got him by 4 games, 4.5, 3 games, something like that. So just as a public service announcement for myself here, that I'm not.
I'm better at picking 2 games than I am picking everything.
Exactly. All right, so we'll continue the trend. We'll do our lock, and then we'll do our upset. Go ahead.
Right. So upset, I got the Texans over the Steelers. So you want to talk about prisoner of the moment? This is a prisoner of the moment.
That could be a big one. That could be a big one.
Yeah, the Texans, they've been impressing me, and they've been playing harder every week.
Yeah.
So, and the Steelers, I'm still not sure what to even make of them, to be honest. Their offense is just not clicked. That one win they had was thanks to their defense mainly, and Chubb obviously got lost for the year on that one. Could have been one of those things where the Browns just got a shot to the heart type of thing, and they just didn't want to play the rest of that game. So the Steelers kind of got one up the Browns on that one. I'm not sure if they can do that consistently though. So I got the Texans over the Steelers on that one.
Okay.
As for my lock, much to your chagrin and all that jazz, I think the Chiefs over the Jets is pretty, I guess, as much a sure bank as you can.
I mean, yeah, I can't even. I don't even have anything to say about that. I mean, I can't even fault you for it.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs scored 40 plus points, 41, 40 something points this week, and the Jets, I just don't have the offense to keep up with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep.
All right, so my upset. I'm just gonna do it. I got the Cardinals over the Niners. That's my upset this week, and here's why I say that. Right, we talked about the Cardinals playing hard. It's a division game, so anything can happen.
Right.
The Cardinals and the Niners historically always play really, really tight games. It's a 14.5 point spread right now.
Right.
Which is crazy to me. I mean, I would almost take that. But, and, common sense says the Niners have to lose at some point. Brock
think
Purdy.
so.
Brock Purdy is 12-0 as a starter in the regular season.
Yeah.
So he's got to lose it at some point. It makes too much sense to me to be the Cardinals, a team who we already talked about is playing so hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
They easily could be 2-1 or 3-0.
Right.
And so I definitely don't think the spread is correct. But
I think that's more with betting.
Yeah.
Betting trends, because I'm pretty sure everybody was betting on 49ers regardless of the spread.
Yeah. So I think that could be a really, really competitive game, and it wouldn't shock me if the Cardinals win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then my lock, I didn't do this on purpose.
Okay.
I didn't do it as like payback. I picked the Bucks over the Saints.
Oh, look at that.
And the only
Look
reason
at
being is because if it sounds like Derek Carr is not going to play next week,
Mm-hmm.
and Jameis Winston likes to throw the ball to the other team. And so
you gotta remind yourself, it's the Bucks. He didn't like throwing the ball to the Bucks.
That's very true. Let me scratch that out real quick. No, but I think the Bucks are 2-0. We'll see how they do tomorrow night against the Eagles.
Right.
But I think if Derek Carr does not play, I really like their chances next week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my lock.
Okay.
All right. So we'll see how that works next week. Next week is going to be a fun episode. If nothing else, you guys can make fun of me. We will be recording live during the Jets and Chiefs game. So I'll be doing my best to stay focused on the episode.
Oh, yeah.
And give breakdowns like we do every week, but I will also be commenting and reacting live to the garbage that I see.
Garbage that I see.
I'm just preparing myself right now. Okay.
We'll talk about overreactions. You're going to be seeing live overreactions.
You're going to be seeing a lot of live overreactions. So it should be entertaining, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
So look forward to that next week. Jets and Chiefs Sunday Night Football while we record our Week 4 episode. So good stuff, man. I feel like we had a lot of good stuff this week, a lot of good talking points.
Right.
And hope you guys enjoyed. Again, feel free to send us any questions, comments, anything that you think that we missed, headlines that you want us to go over, or anything that is trending for next week. If you guys are watching the action next Sunday and you say, hey, this could be a good talking point, feel free to send it to us. We don't plan our episodes that far out in advance, so we'll gladly throw in a question last minute, if you guys have them. So,
yep.
Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to What Did They Know podcast. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media outlets to see future episode details, and don't forget to send in any questions or topics that you want to see the guys discuss in their weekly episodes to come.